Rapsody dropping her third studio album. Has had a lot more projects
Yep.
in that time. This album titled Eve, with the concept of every track is named after a female that she looks up to or idolizes in some sense. And I wasn't really aware of this album, but you said, why don't we check this one out? So I gave it a listen, and I'm really glad I did. I found this to be a really enjoyable album in a lot of senses, and also maybe my favorite J. Cole feature is on this. So there's a lot to talk about. At least favorite J. Cole feature of the year, and he's had some good ones.
Mhm.
How are you feeling about this Rhapsody?
Yeah, so I was definitely anticipating this just because Layla's Wisdom from 2017 was nominated for Best Rap Album, which was both a nice sign of the Grammys actually showing some growth and recognizing someone who's not that famous in Rhapsody, and also just getting it right because that album was really great. And people are, maybe you don't know her solo work, but she was featured on Pimp a Butterfly, on Complexion. So people know Rhapsody, and she's been in the game a long time. She's in her 30s. I think I first became aware of her just kind of offhand a long while ago because she had a Lucy track with Mac Miller. And I was like, oh, who's this? And then I realized there was a shit ton of music credited to Rhapsody. I was like, oh, wow, we got some work to do. And I actually ended up catching up to that in 2017. And then, yeah, this Eve, it really hits her first music of any kind since 2017. And yeah, I think the concept of all these famous Black women that she looks up to, I think really works just because Rhapsody has always been a really wholesome lyricist and kind of a deep thinker. And I think that definitely shines through on this album, Eve. And
Certainly.
what I like about this album too is I think there's you can take loose tracks from the list and they're all pretty accessible. I think, as we say all the time, there's lyrical conscious rappers that have a hard time separating individual songs from like the whole body of work, and you kind of get lost. And I don't think that's the case with this one. So yeah, I was definitely a big fan of this, and I think it's been said a lot, but she's without question, I think, the most lyrical female rapper going right now, and just one of the best rappers, period, as it is.
Yeah, I could see this getting nominated for another Grammy for Best Rap Album. I think not only the concept, but the way that she delivered on this was really, really well done. And I liked so many of these tracks. Like I mentioned, Sojourner with J. Cole. Man, J. Cole, the way he sounds in this just sounds like he's bringing so much more intensity than he usually does to his tracks. And not that J. Cole needs that intensity, but it just brought a whole different side of him into this that I really thought came across really well. And Rhapsody keeps up with J. Cole throughout this. Or maybe it's the other way around, that J. Cole punches up to Rhapsody. I'm not so sure. What other songs did you like?
Yeah, so I think track 1, Nina, stood out to me just because it samples Strange Fruit from Nina Simone. And then the second song, Cleo, samples In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. And I think when you sample well-trodden ground in songs that are, sampled often, I think you kind of have to demonstrate your artistic intent, show your work to justify it. And in the case of the Nina Simone sample, I mean, Kanye kind of left his mark with Blood on the Leaves, of course. So it's a risk to sample songs like that, but I think she delivers. And then from there, and the beats overall, again, really wholesome production. And Rhapsody is so talented that she really can switch up her flows and the cadence of her raps, I think, pretty routinely. So I never really felt any of this got samey, which was great because it is a long listen. J.I.D. or J.I.D. on Iman, that was great. Iman overall is a track I really liked as well. Yeah, I mean, I think there's very little fat on this, and that's exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right, but the single Ibtihaj, I thought was a really strong one with GZA and D'Angelo. She had some, Jizza. She had some really strong features on this. Which, I mean, Queen Latifah. When was the last time we saw Queen Latifah on a track?
Wow.
And I thought she was decent. Like it wasn't my favorite song, but still was fun to hear for sure. So I think Eve is definitely a success, and you should give it a listen. We're going to put a song or two onto our Nostalgia Best of 2019 playlist on Spotify.